Well, I must tell you that I have developed a great interest in understanding more from the people who should know more on this issue of the importation of these 6 or 7 strains of ganja into Jamaica from Canada. And I really hope we can spend some time on it today to understanding a lot more about it. It was a subject of questions in the Standing Finance Committee of Parliament on Wednesday, the 1st March, where the opposition spokesman, Anthony Hilton, asked several questions of the line minister, Senator Orbin Hill. And I'm going to have you listen to part of the exchange. And as I understand it, there are some players in the industry locally who are peeved about the permit by the Cannabis Licensing Authority given to Canada for the importation of these strains. In fact, I understand from in the Observer that former Commissioner of Police, former Chief of Defence Staff, Rear Admiral Hardley Lewin, raised the issue because he is part of, I think, the security apparatus around portions of the industry. And he raised the concerns to a group, a WhatsApp group, and that went viral. So the question that I think I certainly want to have answered, and answered properly, they are: one, what is the exact purpose of the importation of the cannabis strains into Jamaica from Canada? The minister with responsibility, Senator Orbin Hill, has said it is for scientific purposes. I made contact this morning with the current head of the Cannabis Licensing Authority to better understand what exactly is to happen to these strains when they get into Jamaica. Where will they go? And when they go where they're scheduled to go, what exactly will happen? And he said that he's actually put me in touch with somebody who is supposed to be sending me something. I do not yet have it to hand. So those are 2 questions. 3, what is the exact quantum of the strains that have been granted the import permission? How many pounds, how many kilos, or whatever it is that you want to give it the measurement to us in? And then, is there any possibility that these strains can and will be used to supplying the local market for commercial purposes at any time after they have done to them whatever it is the minister said is to be done with them? How I understand the argument, the local licensed entities have had a difficulty exporting cannabis to Canada for commercial purposes. There are strains of cannabis exported to Canada from Jamaica But those strains, it would appear, they get exported and accepted into Canada for scientific purposes, for testing purposes. But Canada does not appear to be accepting cannabis from Jamaica for commercial purposes. And I've been made to understand that what they do is they just do not respond. And when they do not respond, one cannot say that they have not accepted the product for commercial purposes. And if it is so that they are rejecting by omitting to respond, is there any proper basis on which they are doing this rejection? I heard the Minister Aubin Hill talk about a single convention of 1961, which it appears it says that if you produce items in substantial portions that can supply your local demand, then you need not take imports from any other country for the said product. And the convention does not only apply to one and few country, it applies to every country, especially in relation to ganja, which remains a Schedule 1 drug on this convention. So there is this fear by the local players that somehow you're going to have this perhaps dumping even of this thing from Canada on the local market when the local market is already struggling. The local market, there are players here who have been granted export licenses and permits, and they do export to a number of other countries for commercial purposes. But for some reason, Canada has just not been responding to the appropriate applications for commercial purposes, and they cannot understand why. I suppose the plus side of this entire thing about the permit that has been granted by the CLA is that if the product, the 6 or 7 strains that the minister said have been granted the permission to come in, if they come in and end up having some commercial purpose in the end, then one would hope that it would lead to a opening of the door by Canada to accepting Jamaican export to them for commercial purposes. But more importantly, I think we need to understand why is it that they are not accepting our product for commercial purposes. As things stand now, based on what the minister has said, he's told us that the products are coming in for scientific testing purposes. What I'm not clear about is where do they go when they get here? And exactly how is this scientific/testing purpose supposed to look? So we're going to need some help on it. But I am never in the frame of mind, as some people are wont to be, where we expect to have things happen with our produce going to one country, but we don't want any country stuff here. I'm not into that. Yeah? Reciprocity is important in human relations as well as in trade. And if you don't get it, you cannot be helped. But there are rules about trade across jurisdictions, international conventions. Protectionist policies have for the most part been wiped out, subject to, whatever the negotiating prowess of countries were at the time when they were at the table. So I think everything goes back to understanding the key conventions under which these things operate, to better understand why things are the way they are, and if there's no proper legal basis on which they are the way they are, then there must be a forum in which they can be challenged. Anyway, this is the exchange in the Parliament, and we're going to be spending some time on the program this morning. Here's Anthony Hilton asking questions of Orbin Hill.
It's a very critical ministry, as you can appreciate. Minister, let me start. I must tell you that as the person who was involved in shaping the Cannabis License Authority, I was shocked, and I'm shocked to hear about the importation of cannabis from Canada. Could you tell the Jamaican, and I think that there has been much consternation in the public about this. I'm still grappling to find out why and how. Could we get some explanation as to why and how, and what, in pursuit of what policy objective would that be done?
I'm very pleased, Minister, that you would have in fact been the Minister who on December 1st, 2015, passed this bill through Parliament. So you're very, very much aware of it. Very much aware that cannabis indeed is a Schedule I drug, which means it's controlled around the world, and it's under the 1961 Single Convention Act. It undertakes to take the limit to limit the production, manufacture, export, import, distribution, and stocks of trading and use and possession of the controlled drugs, which is a Schedule I drug, so that they are used exclusively for medical and scientific purpose. The production and distribution of controlled substances must be licensed and supervised. The reason I read that is because I'm going to give you this statement. The Cannabis Licensing Authority, which you're familiar with, wants to clarify that it is unaware of any specific restrictions on importing Jamaican cannabis into Canada. As a matter of fact, Canada is the first country that local entities requested and received export authorizations for, and those have been followed by other export authorizations over the years. As such, if or where there has been refusal by Canada to issue import permits for product from Jamaica, the authority is not aware of these proposed consignments or reasons for refusal. Of note, an export authorization is only issued to an entity after it has furnished an import authorization from the receiving country, and that authorization is verified by the authority as legitimate. Consequently, the CLA is unable to use this assertion to prejudice the authorization process per the single convention. And it goes on. I won't read the rest, but I want to give you some numbers as well. So just let us think of what's happening with our very outstanding trading partner, Canada. It is important that we understand that not only are we dealing with that controlled substance, but we're also looking at trade. Canada's, one second. For the context, we have approved 1.7 million pounds of cannabis for export, and an additional
to Canada?
All over the world.
No, I'm talking to Canada. My question, Minister, if you want to answer widely, it's up to you. My question is focused on Canada.
But I answered that.
Okay, so I'm asking if the data you're sharing with us is a data about trade with Canada in cannabis in particular, or are you giving us a global?
I answer the issue about cannabis in that we do not have any record of what is being spoken of in the press. I answered that. That was the first part. But I'm putting it in a bigger context that we're trading in a schedule item, and we're trading around the world. And yes, we trade all over the place, and we have no refusals. We have no record of any refusals from Canada. So you need to understand, member, that there are persons who have good reasons to make it appear difficult that it is, and may or may not be based in fact. I've given you the facts from the CLA.
So I have a few follow-up questions, just for clarity.
Yeah,
just
sure.
For clarity. So my understanding is, and as you've said, first of all, that we're treating with a scheduled substance,
and it means a lot.
It's clear, and so it is highly regulated on both sides, on all sides, on every side. So my question to you: you've indicated that you are unaware of any restriction and any requirement for exports of drugs into Canada. Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah, I'm saying that we have seen no refusal by Canada of any authorized export from Jamaica.
So since I left the ministry in 2016, I am aware that there have been efforts by individuals, by enterprises, to access the market in Canada. I have had personal knowledge of that. Now, you're saying that they have simply tripped over themselves and that they've met on no barrier, no entry, there's no reason for them not to have exported into Canada? And if there are reasons, what are those reasons?
I am saying that whoever wants to export to wherever has to go through the CLA to get an authorization. We have no such record of any authorized export being refused by Canada.
There are two separate questions, Minister. One is, so let me ask you then, are you aware of the requirements imposed by Canada, if there are any, for the export of marijuana, Jamaican ganja, into Canada?
I did say that under the 1961 convention, and because the single convention undertaking, you can only export one item under that single convention arrangement, because you're dealing with a Schedule A drug. It is banned. So for you to export into Canada from Jamaica properly, you have to go through the CLA. We have not authorized any export to Canada that has been refused. That's what I'm saying.
That's a very neat answer. Let me unpack that answer. Let me unpack the answer.
Go right ahead.
Minister, I just want to know, and I realize that you're comfortable, but I want to be very clear that the questions are in keeping with the line items. Minister.
No, I
it didn't start with...
Yes, so we are listening to the exchange in the Parliament because this is a matter that is highly contentious at the moment. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back from the break, I'm going to wrap up my views and seek greater clarity. We expect to join by a number of people who can shed some more light on this, and we'll see what else we can get. This is the hotline. We're back with you, listeners, on the hotline. So let me just complete this, the exchange in the Parliament, where the specific question was put to Aubin Hill about the import of cannabis into Jamaica from Canada, and hear what his response is. Let's go right back to that.
With a budget number, but I am answering out of courtesy to the member.
No, it's not out of courtesy. We are talking about the CLA, which is an agency under the ministry that have acted in a critical area about the export and import of. And so this arises perfectly under this budget discussion.
I wasn't questioning it.
Yeah. So no, and now it should the chairman. That should not be questioned.
Member.
Yes, Chairman.
If I can just clarify, a member,
Yes.
we've had 9 requests facilitated for Canada since 2021, up to 2020, and none since then.
9 requests of what? May I ask?
Of cannabis.
To
go to Canada, export to Canada.
And there is in fact that export taking place to Canada.
Yes, I can tell you that we have facilitated those up to 2020. 9 requests, none requests since then.
And those are single entry.
They have to all be single entry because it's a Schedule A item.
Okay. So just to be clear, what then is the approval? What then is the approval being reported by the media into Jamaica from Canada? What precisely has been approved? Can you share that with
There have been imports. The issue that has come up is one import that we've had, and it was raised, and it was under the trade arrangements under the act that was passed and shepherded by you through Parliament. We were obliged to consider it, and we considered it. It met the requirement. And because Canada is a outstanding trading partner of Jamaica, it was allowed to come through in the normal way. So we followed the law.
So Minister, so are you saying this is a one-off approval
request that we've had?
And is it expected that additional requests and approval will follow?
One of the things that I tend not to do with a future member is to predict it. I can't say what will come. I can tell you we will follow the law when they come.
All right. So the exchange there between Anthony Hilton, the opposition spokesman on this particular area, and the line minister, Senator Aubin Hill. So you didn't get the clarity there, which is why we're going to try and seek it now. As I said, I've been made to understand by other publications thereafter. The minister has said the 6 or the 7 strains that permission's been granted to import in Jamaica, they have come for scientific purposes. And he says they're from a Jamaican business person operating in Canada. What I'm still not clear about is when it comes here, what exactly is going to happen? Is there a possibility that it is going to end up on the market? And if it does end up on the market, has the minister heard the howls of protests by local players in the Jamaican market who say that they are not allowed to export cannabis from Jamaica into the Canadian market for commercial purposes? And if we cannot, why not? Those and a lot of other answers coming up right after this.
Join us next time for Emily's Views on the Hotline.
Shop online, visit
Importation of Canada, and the hotline. I'm joining
Radio Jamaica, active for the good of our nation.
Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. I'm joining 3 people now for a perspective on this matter concerning the importation of strains of cannabis into Jamaica from Canada. And we have been trying to make contact with the Cannabis Licensing Authority for the clarification that I seek. We've not been able to reach them. Devine White is telling me to send an email with a formal request with details to her. What I don't understand from these guys, you don't think it important for something like this, for you to literally issue a release on it? You're telling me to send an email with a request, a formal request? You didn't think it important to put something out so we can better understand when the something come here, where is it going to go? What is going to happen? With all of the questions and all of the reports in the newspapers, you don't think it important? It looks to me like on a love things coming in an inbox. I don't love it, you know. We're joined by Hardly Lewin, Alexander Chung of Jacana, and Burrell Scarlett, Technical Director of Evergrow Garden Center. You hear him here every week telling me how to grow stuff, including 5 plants on my yard. He joins us. Good to have all of you on the hotline.
Good morning.
Hi. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning, and welcome.
Yeah.
Hardly Lewin, remind me, how do I introduce you in this whole debate on the cannabis industry? What title do you wear?
Well, you have introduced me, but I'm the president of the Jamaica Licensed Cannabis Association.
Thank you. President of the Jamaica Licensed Cannabis Association. Right. I've seen that you've raised concerns, perhaps one of the first persons to raise concerns about the importation of cannabis from Canada into Jamaica. Make us understand, what do you understand the purpose of the cannabis coming here is for?
Well, thank you, Emily. But let me just quickly run through the sequence of what happened. Mm-hmm. Last week, Thursday morning, I got information that a licensee in Jamaica got a permit approved by the board of the Cannabis Licensing Authority for the importation of 40 kilograms of ganja, which had arrived in the country.
Yeah.
And there was another permit for 100 kilograms, which either had arrived or was on its way or soon be arriving in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately messaged the chairman of the CLA, basically saying, I have this information, can you verify it? He did not respond. However, a senior officer, a director from the CLA, called me probably about 2 hours later, inquiring what was the issue. So I put the information I had to that officer, who confirmed that indeed permits were granted. He never confirmed the amounts that I put to him. He never denied them either. I expressed to him my strong views, disappointment, and disagreement that something like this could have happened. And I explained to him why, but I realized that really it's not his fault, because nothing illegal was done by the granting of these permits. However, I told him to stand by, because I'm going to put this information out there in the industry. And I did just that. And of course, the industry came alight and the fire started to burn.
So when you express the strong views based on what then, especially when you say nothing illegal was done?
My strong views were based on the fact that Canada does not allow imports, commercial imports into Canada. Anything that left Jamaica into Canada legally were only small amounts for the purposes of testing, laboratory testing, and no other purpose. Any other thing that landed on Canadian soil would have been in transit, anything legally. Canada has protected their markets, and I was incensed that in this operation there's no reciprocity. Reciprocity has always been a fundamental plank, in my experience, of Jamaica's dealings with the rest of the world. In all the negotiations I've been involved with, I sat at the feet of Dr. Ken Rattray. Reciprocity, sovereign equality of states. And to see that this would have happened, I was incensed personally.
All right. Alexander Chung, good to have you, as I said. Do you agree with the arguments as outlined so far by Hardly Lewin?
I absolutely agree. I couldn't agree more. And actually, I'm quite alarmed to hear of the amounts of kilograms. This is the first time I've heard 40 kilograms and 100 kilograms. And I think I can comfortably say that those amounts are not testing amounts. Those well exceed the amounts for the need for testing. So I am actually quite surprised and quite disheartened to hear that, because he was absolutely right in his statement. You know, it's about reciprocity. I think that the Jamaican cannabis industry would not be so upset today as it is currently, with very little information as to this import, if we were allowed to export to Canada.
For commercial purposes.
For commercial purposes. So it is absolutely true. And in fact, Jacana has done several exports to Canada, but only ever allowed small quantities for testing and research. We have attempted multiple times to send product to Canada with Canadian partners for commercial sale, and each response comes with silence. They are clearly protecting their market. It's not just an issue for Jamaican licensed companies, but it is an issue that is happening for the Colombian companies and Uruguayan companies. And the outrage is that we cannot allow commercial product to enter our market if it is not being allowed to be sent to the Canadian market.
Can you give me this as point of comparison? I heard Harley Lewin saying, which you agree, that small amounts are sent to Canada only for testing. When we say small amounts from Jamaica to Canada only for testing, give me the quantum, the weight we're talking about that's sent for testing.
I mean, we're talking, less than 10 kgs. Maybe maximum 20 kgs. I mean, Mr. Lewin, you can speak to that if you have any additional detail, but not 100 kilograms.
Yes. And when
I think when we're talking about testing amounts, the samples you need, you're not into even 1 kg.
So, but when they say 6 or 7 strains, what does that mean in layman language?
It just means different kinds, right? But you could have 2 or 3 different kinds. You could have a lamb's bread. You could have, a sour diesel. These are just different types of strains or cultivars, just varieties, right? Different varieties of the plant.
Right. So
what is upsetting and concerning to the industry is if this product is landing here for sale. And these quantities that Mr. Lewin has articulated is the first time actually hearing the quantities. The CLA needs to confirm this, because it is very disheartening. Jamaica has worked incredibly hard to build an industry over the last 5 years. I can tell you from my experience at Jacana, we have built a world-class facility. We have invested a tremendous amount of money. Our hard-working team of over 100 people have, been really working at this, and we want Jamaica to be on the global stage. And there is no reason we meet the international standards, but we need our government now to step forward with us and help protect our rights as Jamaicans and our country's right to trade internationally.
So before I come to Mr. Scarlett, make us understand then, Hardly Lewin, if you got the quantum being 40 kilos and 100 kilos last Thursday, and you expressed strong views, why were you of the view that nothing illegal was done if that quantum must be coming for commercial purpose? How is that not illegal for you?
No, because the law allows it, and it was imported in accordance with the rules. But let's bear something in mind. We're not talking about legality here. We're talking about a principle. And the principle is one of reciprocity. So there's no illegality. That's why I did not name the company. The company is not at fault. They did what they had to do. Permission was granted. They did their import. What is the principle governing this? Is this how we're going to build our own industry? That's the problem.
But I always thought that the single convention for trade, as I heard Aubin Hill mention, it has in it a particular clause that says, if your market, if you can supply the demand in your market for whatever the product is, in this case cannabis, then you really ought not to be allowing importation for commercial purposes from any country into your market that you can supply. Isn't that Is that your understanding of the Single Convention for Trade, at least a clause in it?
No. Listen, first thing is, if somebody wanted to import from overseas, I would think the first thing we want to do is go to the industry to find out, can it be satisfied by any of the licensees here?
Yes.
That would be the first thing, before you even contemplate looking outside.
But did you find out what strains were granted permission for importing and whether they are available locally?
Look, there's so many things so far that has not even been addressed.
Yes.
Like quantum and so on. I am telling you, I gave you the whole sequence of events.
Yes.
I did not delve any further.
And the CLA didn't confirm the quantum you got. They just didn't answer.
They just did not answer. Now I denied the quantum. But look, the rest of the information that I put to them was accurate about the importation and so on. I can find very little reason why the quantum would be so inaccurate.
I heard Alexander Trung, you were trying to come in, and then Mr. Burrell Scarlett.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is just an issue of fair trade as well, right? You know, again, I think there would be less of we have the sufficient ability to meet the demand in Jamaica, more than sufficiently. We know that the Canadian market has been overproducing cannabis. They have a problem in Canada. They have too much product. So potentially you can see a world where they want to move that product around the world. We do not need it in Jamaica. But what we do need is the ability to trade fairly.
No, but if they have an oversupply and they're bringing it here, particularly if they intend for commercial sale for lower value than the market in Canada, that is called dumping, which is illegal.
Correct.
That's illegal.
But Emily.
Yes.
Look, the companies in Jamaica have storehouses full of product. And let me go back to the point about the fact that the company that did the importation violated no rules. They applied and so on. But let's bear one thing in mind. You may know the Greek Athenian philosopher Solon said rules are for the guidance of wise men and the blind obedience of fools.
Well, fools you're not.
Well, we won't be fooled by this.
Let me hear from Burrell Scarlett. CKLA, we're trying to make contact with one of you. What am I say CKLA for? Good morning to the principal and the teachers at CKLA. CLA. Now, Devine White of CLA is telling me the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce has addressed this matter in the public sphere. Should you require any additional information, please send formal request. Listen to me now, people. I heard what the minister said. It is obviously not very clear because there are questions that have arisen. I tell you exactly formally the answers I wish. Do not then force me to go and draft an email to you to tell you what I've already told you in Emily's views. You people are too pedantic. You do not understand when there's a moment that you need to address something. Here we have somebody who is a major player in the industry who's telling us he called to get confirmation on something. The head remains silent. And in the absence of information, a lot of speculation will come. You hear what I'm putting out. I'm talking to the world at large. And you're telling me to go and send email with a request? Listen to what I've asked and give me the answers. Mr. Scarlett, your thoughts on this?
Hi, Mr. Shields. Good
morning.
Yes. Okay. I think what is the confusion that certainly I am having, and I'm sure a lot of listeners are having, is we continue and the minister talks about cannabis. But let us define what we're talking about here, because cannabis can be moved for medicinal research and development across countries. But what form do you move it in? Do you move planting materials, finished products, namely oils and dried buds? Now, I think what needs to be made clear here is what the license that were granted to this person in Canada to bring into Jamaica? Was it finished product or was it planting material?
Mr. Lewin, can you help us with that?
Look, Emily, we are operating in an environment with a lack of information.
But what were you told? Was it seeds, plants, oil?
No, flowers.
Flowers, that means what? Plant?
No,
or the buds?
Buds. Things you put in the shelves, you package it, you sell it.
So
the herb houses.
So Alexandra Chung, help me with this now. If it's buds,
it's a finished product ready for sale.
So then this would go to a dispensary.
It can also be tested in a laboratory, but I mean, at 40 kilograms,
so this
very likely
therefore brings a different flavor to the discussion.
Yes.
Because if it's not planting materials for research and development and, testing different strains and varieties in different parts of the world and how they react and how they behave and so on for cultivation purposes, then that protocol is understood and is allowable internationally. But when you're talking now about finished products that must go to consumption someplace, be it that it is medicinal and research and development, then it's a new dimension. And I think the minister or the CLA needs to come and give some clarification to this.
Let me ask as well, Alexander Chung, when cannabis is sent away for testing purposes, as we say, to Canada, for example, what is it that you send? You send seeds, you send tree, you send finished product, you send oil, or what? Just clarify for me what you send away for testing purposes.
We send finished product for testing, typically. Dried flour. You can send oil for extract testing, but you do not send it in large quantities, right? Because it is expensive to produce. And you're not going to waste large quantities of cannabis for testing purposes.
And you don't send anything that is growing, that is in the earth, that's growing?
No.
Yes. And you clearly understood, Hardly Lewin, that the import that we had, you said it landed here last Thursday.
No. I did not say that. I spoke that the information came to me on Thursday.
Yes.
That there was a 40 kilogram shipment for which permit was granted that was in the country. The 100 kilogram was either on its way or here. I was not quite sure where exactly what this is. But can I say one little thing?
Yes, please.
Here, that, and I'm not trying to raise any alarm, but there is a virus affecting hemp and cannabis in North America called the hop latent viroid. I know it is in Canada. I know it is in the United States. I would not be surprised if it's in Jamaica, but I don't know yet. I'm just saying that there is that issue. I don't think we can test for that in Jamaica.
But
hop latent viroid.
Just to add a little here, and Mr. Lewin, I wasn't hearing you very well, but you said that the permit specifically said dried buds. Now, I would love for you to relook that and ensure that's what it says, because what has happened in recent weeks or months, the importing agency of government for, let's say, the planned quarantine, you could make an import request permit for live plants in numbers, but their farms and has it as weight. So instead of count numbers, they have weight. So please ensure that this weight that you're referring to is not quantity of live plants, and it is indeed buds, dried dead buds.
You know, sir, no. I don't have to do any such thing. Just let the people come out and tell us what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course.
Which is the problem.
I'm not an investigator.
You were.
No, I did my piece.
You grow it out. It's an absolute shame. It is an absolute shame that these people don't come out and say something with this mini storm.
Emily.
Yes.
I heard the minister yesterday on another station dealing with this issue. And I can tell you what we got were beautiful answers to questions that were never asked. Tap dancing. Okay? Having brought the thing to the public fore, the kind of responses I would have expected would be, because, look here, if the stuff is imported and so on, it's all legal. There's, as far as I'm aware, nothing illegal about it.
No, not for commercial purposes. I don't understand that they can bring it here for commercial purposes. For going to dispensary.
I just give them my view.
Yeah.
Okay, so the stuff is here, but look, yes, we did allow this. It is here. However, based on the points being raised on the subject and so on, I've given an immediate instruction that no more permits are to be granted. We are going to review the whole situation. That's what I expected.
No, but if he says that it came in according to law, and if you were satisfied there's no illegality, he can't usurp the law to go issue anything by edict. This is not the days of the chancellor of whatever in England where they rule in spite of a law that is present. But give me a couple more minutes after the break, ladies and gentlemen, because we really have to get to the bottom of this. Let me call you all back. Headlines time. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. We're still on the matter of the importation of some strains of cannabis into Jamaica for purposes, the minister say, connected to scientific research purposes. But we're hearing now from Hardly Lewin, who got the information last Thursday, that the information he got then is that it was 40 kilograms in one instance and then 100 kilogram for which permit has been granted by the Cannabis Licensing Authority for importation in Jamaica. He said he didn't get a confirmation from the CLA on the quantum. They didn't reject it, they didn't admit to it, but they did admit that permission was granted for an importation of cannabis into Jamaica. I've made contact with Aubin Hill, the minister. We're going to try and reach him to get answers to these questions and more, because we hear from Alexander Chung of Jacana, and she says if that is the quantum that has been granted the import permit, then that quantum does not on the face of it mean that it will be for testing. We send marijuana to Canada, and when we do, it's smaller portions for testing. They're back with us now. We're back with you, Hardly Lewin. We're back with you, Alexander Chung. We're back with you, Burrell Scarlett. Let me just understand what questions you think you need to have answered by the CLA, each of you, so that they do listen and don't expect me to send an email, but they do listen and provide the answers that you are seeking, as well as myself. I start with you then, Hardly Lewin. What questions do you want them to answer?
Number one, come clean. Number two, what's going to be the policy going forward?
I would say, they need to confirm the details of what was allowed to come in to Jamaica and for what purpose. We need clear, transparent information as the industry as a whole. And number two, not the Cannabis Licensing Authority, but the government need to tell us what they are doing actively and on a time frame that is immediate to ensure that we can trade freely with Canada, our trading partner. Because as has been said, if the law has not been broken by importing the product here, there is clearly an issue with the law as we are not able to export products.
For commercial purposes.
For commercial sale.
Yeah.
And no response has been given by Health Canada as to why we only receive import permits for scientific and research purposes.
Right. And about how many times have you at Jacana attempted to export to Canada for commercial purposes?
At least 4 times.
Over what period of time?
Mostly done throughout 2019, 2020, and 2021.
And for each time you've made that attempt, then you come upon what?
For every attempt that has been made, we simply receive silence for a long period of time. And then we receive an import permit saying import has been granted, but it says this product cannot be sold for commercial purposes in Canada.
Right. And then I understand from the minister that for each time you are attempting to export to Canada, you have to get authorization from the Cannabis Licensing Authority?
Yes, and the issue is never with the Cannabis Licensing Authority.
Yes.
Because the Cannabis Licensing Authority cannot issue an export permit unless it receives an import permit. Mm-hmm. So in this instance, with the product coming from Canada, the Cannabis Licensing Authority would have been first. They would have issued the import permit to the Canadian company that would have then applied for an export permit.
Yes. So we need to see the import permit to see if it has that caveat as you get from Canada, which is to say not for commercial purposes. Yeah, we need to see that, don't we?
Exactly. Very specifically, in 2019, after waiting for 13 months, our import permit was approved by Health Canada, but the conditions for importing the 10 kilograms of dried cannabis flower, because it states the product on the import permit, said it cannot be sold to provinces, territories, or to medical clients. Right. And it cannot be exported out of Canada. So they were very clear that they could let us bring the product in, but for no purpose other than for testing.
And just remind me, you do export to about how many other countries for commercial purposes?
So any country that is federally legal for medical cannabis purposes, Jamaica can trade with, as long as Jamaica has a trading agreement. So that could be Germany, it could be Uruguay, it could be the Cayman Islands, Australia. There are several countries that actively trade with Jamaica currently. And in those instances, while it would be disappointing to see us importing product from other countries, as long as there is a free trade ability happening both ways, as Mr. Lewin said, reciprocity, I don't see an issue for the industry to accept that. But we simply need to be able to do it both ways.
Quickly, the countries that you mentioned, do any of them, or does any of them produce the cannabis locally?
Yes, several of them do.
Okay. Final question. What do you want to see? Mr. Burrell, what questions do you want answers from CLA?
Okay, sorry, I did not hear the other presenters, what they would like to hear.
Tell me what you want.
What I would love to hear from the CLA is to be explicit on the cannabis, the form of the cannabis. Is it planting materials, live plants, or is it finished product?
Yes.
Oils or buds?
Yes.
They need to be explicit on this. As the J-Swift platform, import platform, will just not necessarily clarify that, as they could put number of stands into a weight, and that could confuse them.
Thank you so much.
Emily, can I say something very quickly?
Yes, quickly.
The CLA has taken a lot of hits as to why many of the companies with Canadian interests, why the Canadian interests have pulled out. Look, it's not entirely true. It's part of the problem that local companies, Canadian interests, because of the fact that they cannot export to Canada. And they've predicated their investment here based on a view that they would be able to export into Canada. Okay? So it's not entirely CLA fault.
Okay.
No, and this is a very public issue in Canada as well. There are many articles, in fact, one written from MJ Biz Daily, which outlines all the players who've tried to import into Canada, all the players trying to export. So this is simply an issue that we want confirmation from our regulator and our government that they are doing their best to lobby on behalf of our country and our industry, and that they are doing their best to ensure that we are not disproportionately affected and they are not opening up a market to a trading partner that is barring us from entering.
Can I thank you all so much, Alexander Chung from Jacana. Thank you so much, Burrell Scarlett, Technical Director of Evergreen Garden Center. Thank you so much, Hardley Lewin. We'll talk again very soon. Take care.
All right,
Lady, gentlemen, when we come back, it's time for the National Consumers League. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. I'm so happy now to be joined by Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill. Minister, thank you so much for joining me on the hotline.
Pleased to be here with you, Emily, as I travel into the country for a field trip.
Yes.
But I listened to some of what I think former General Hardley Lewin and Mrs. Alexander Chung said. I suppose you have some query on those.
Yes. Firstly, can you clarify for me, one, whether the cannabis from Canada is already in Jamaica?
My understanding, and as I said to you now, Emily, I'm driving, my understanding is that it's in. Whether it's in or not, we have approved it. So if it's not in today, I suspect it will be in a moment, and because it's approved.
What's the weight of the cannabis?
The weight is, because I heard what Mr. Hardley Lewin said, I've asked the CLA to give me exact details. What I can tell you, Emily, is that it's about 6 or 7 strains, and so each strain comes in a certain amount. So there'll be a total amount might sound big, but when you find out that it's 6 or 7 strains, it's not for what the
No. Before you go around and come around, I just want weight first.
The total weight, I understand, is about 260 pounds. I don't know exactly. It's in that vicinity. Yeah. But I want you to understand as well, since I've given you the number, that it's 6 or 7 strains in that. So it's separated by strains, which is why the people imported it, because they couldn't get those strains and quality in Jamaica, and they have 5 startups.
What is the purpose? You understand it's been granted the permit?
The permit is granted depending on what a license you have. Some people have license to grow, some people have license to test, some people have license to retail. Depending on what it is, the testing would be allowed for that. So that's what I'm getting from the CLA, the details and I'm going to have a press release done by noontime today. The CLA is going to release a press release.
But as at this moment, I heard you say yesterday that it's for testing/scientific purposes.
Yes, the testing, of course, can be any range of tests, which is why I want to make sure that I give it to you. Some of it might be what we would normally call using. So I'll find out what it is, and I'll get back to you. I don't have that answer with me right now.
Do you know whether the import permit specifically proscribe use for commercial purposes?
I wouldn't say proscribe for commercial uses. As I said to you before, the permit would be given based on the license that the entity has. So that's why I want to find out what license they have, and that would decide what the testing and what the use would be for.
So am I to understand that to get the permit for importation into Jamaica, this Canadian company the Jamaican company operating in Canada, it needed to have a local counterpart here in Jamaica. Which local counterpart is to have a license from the CLA?
Jamaican company, only a Jamaican company can get a license from the CLA.
So the application was made
by a Jamaican company to the CLA.
Operating where? The Jamaican company operating?
Operating here. They have, as I said, they have 5 startups. And so I'm finding out what is in that startup. We'll give you the complete details. But it's a Jamaican company
that is doing a startup, and those strains that they've asked permission to bring, they are not available in the quantity and quality they have in Jamaica.
Oh. So it's a Jamaica. It's a company operating in Jamaica.
It's a Jamaican company operating in Jamaica. It's not just that company operating in Jamaica. It's a Jamaican company.
As I understand it, for any company to get license from CLA, they need to have a majority shareholding in land, at 51% at least, belonging to a Jamaican.
Which is why I'm saying to you, and that I've said, emphasize, it's a Jamaican company. They have to follow the rules that we've set.
So in this,
and those rules were put in legislation that was passed in 2015, December 2015.
No, I know that, that doesn't help me. This is where the politics comes in, Minister, and I do not like the timelines because you're putting me into JLP, PNP, and I'm not concerned about administration.
Nothing of that at all.
No, you don't, but I'm very, very cognizant of the political terms of each party, and I know when the years come that you are subliminally directing me to a law passed by Anthony Hilton of the PNP. That's where my head went. But let me just take a break and come back to you. I beg you some more time so I can clarify some things. Hold on,
okay.
Minister. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. We're really trying to clear the fog and make sure we understand this better for ourselves and for you. We're learning from Minister Aubin Hill that the application for the import permit made to the CLA, the Cannabis Licensing Authority, it was done by a Jamaican company operating here, and they made the application to import some strains of cannabis from Canada into Jamaica. So, Minister, we're back with you. Minister Hill, can you hear us? Huh? Oh dear, I have on the pulse. So I was just talking to myself a while ago. I might as well just complete it. Minister Hill? You don't want me to continue talking to Minister Hill?
Can you hear me?
I'm not ready for Minister Tufton, How we are going to manage this now? Minister Tufton, beg a couple more minutes. Minister Hill?
I'm trying to say hello.
Yes. I just realized I'm coming to On the Pulse. I'm so sorry, Minister Tufton. You'll understand. It's collective responsibility. So the Jamaican company made the application and CLA granted the permit. Yeah?
Yes.
And do you know whether CLA needs to consider whether the application that they're processing, whether the strains that one is seeking to import, whether those strains are available locally before a license for import is granted?
I am going to have to plead to get you more information. My understanding, as it is now, Emily, as I said to you, I'm on the road to the country, so I'm getting the information. But my understanding is those strains that they have requested were not here in the quantity or quality that they're required to have for the 5 startups that they were doing. But I'm getting better particulars to put in the press release.
Can I ask you, is there any particular reason I'm not able to speak directly with the representative of the CLA and they have to report to you so you can then report to me?
No, you can't speak to them because you remember, Emily, I gave you numbers this morning for the CLA.
Yes.
So I don't have any sanction on them at all. I'm just being the minister that I am, and I'm quite willing for transparency or to be questioned publicly.
Yes.
I come on the phone because I'm on a car. You call me, I answer.
That is true. And if you can direct one of them.
They're working on, I imagine, now a press release.
But they're telling me to send them a formal email with the things I need. You need to make people understand that efficiency in government means you cannot be pedantic in the 21st century. I am not speaking to myself.
I think they understand that, Emily, but they are, you can imagine, they want to be accurate as well. These are lawyers and so on.
But if they do not know, they are the repository of the knowledge. If they do not know to put the information out by now.
But wait, no, Emily, I am the minister, and I make myself available to you, so you shouldn't be complaining about that. They will have something out to you by midday.
The last thing I will say, this is the problem. This is why you ministers get blamed all the time and people call for you to be sacked. Because
we're going to be blamed anyway, Emily. The moment something happens, you can imagine something like that happens in an agency. I have 20 agencies. Ministry of Health has another 15 or 40. You never know. You're never going to be, but the minister has to be up there. And yes, we're going to be blamed.
Yes.
We're the public officials. And so I take it straight in my chest and I come to you directly. I don't hide. I'm on NNN yesterday. I'm on RJR today. And I will not hide. I will answer you. I have nothing to hide.
Well, the last thing I'll say, there are sometimes I do not wish to speak with a minister. Because you do not know. Such as in this instance, the information...
We won't have the details.
That is right. And I think the people who are the hands and feet of these entities, including permanent secretaries, they need to understand that there are some points in time, particularly now, when this is the first of its kind. Make yourself available to give information to the people, because in the absence of information, speculation is going to be rife.
You will get the information. For instance,
I've got to go to your other minister.
Some of the people you've talked to are asking for import license. So it's well known, but it will be cleared up, and you'll get
before midday. I'm grateful.
I hope so.
All right, take care. Thank you. Yes, I think I've got to go on the post with public health now. Minister.
Yes,
Dr. Tufton. Minister Hill took out 8 minutes out of your time.
I was about to say, I hope we can get it back, because there are...
If we get it back, is it same government? We don't share the cost.
No, I'm not devaluing the importance of the issue with Minister Hill, but I'm saying you have exercised that judgment, so I have to exercise.
It's news, so yes. This is a news program, we may go on with some arms holes here from time to time to amuse ourselves, but we go with the news. I will give you back the time, Minister. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on the Pulse with Public Health. Good to have you, Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Chris Tufton. Right, so tell me what we're talking about today, Minister.
Well, I'd love to get to the callers, because last time we never had a lot of time, so to the extent that they're there. But we launched the Health Information System, electronic system this week. The contract signed.
I saw that.
It's a big issue for public health, because it means one patient, one record, with your record following you wherever you go in the public system, and it will be retrieved electronically, so quickly, facilitating much quicker assessment and, of course, treatment. So very proud of it, the first in the Caribbean. So we're charting away. And this is part of the health system strengthening involving the IDB, to a lesser extent, the EU, PAHO, and the government of Jamaica.
Yes, really good. I think I saw some information on the funding. Can we touch on that briefly? Let's remind us of the quantum, the interest rate, and the period of time for which that is in place.
So this particular contract is just over $5 million US. We signed a previous one, just over $8 million, to connect health centers and hospitals electronically, internet connection with the hardware, the tablets and so on. This one is a UK-based firm who will now put this software or the system in place so that we can, do electronic appointments, imaging, upload, telemedicine, and of course the critical one, which is the storing of patient records. So it's part of a $50 million US program that we had signed with IDB for health system strengthening, and part of that involves the hospital build-out. As you know, Spanish Town hopefully will break ground in short order, Maypen, St. Anne's Bay, and a number of health centers. So it's a comprehensive overhaul that hopefully will lead to not just more efficient service, but more services for the public, and deservedly so.
Do you have your technical team there with you as last week, or just you?
I'm in Montego Bay, but they are supposed to be online in Kingston.
Okay.
So, I think,
Dr. David Jermott, Dr. Kin Ong, and Dr. Hilary Hines.
I think you have Mr. Michael Tucker of the NCDA, because this week we also signed the study on on substance abuse, which involves alcohol abuse as well as the other new drugs, Molly and so on, which is another big deal for us. The post-COVID environment has seen significant overindulgence, substance abuse, and this study is a study to get data on the Jamaica population with the hope of providing public education and hopefully over time policy to minimize substance abuse.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to tell me about the health system strengthening program, the electronic health records, before I hear from Dr. Tucker and then take the calls?
Well, it's a game changer. I mean, simply put, because previous to now, and you would have gotten those calls, people have to depend on the paper-based files. When you have an appointment, they try to retrieve those files from a room. Oftentimes, it's difficult to find. It's lost. It takes time. The difference here is that once your record is uploaded and stored in a confidential way, a doctor with the appropriate passcodes can access that record when you're sitting in front of him or her and know exactly what your medical history is, what you're used to taking, what you're allergic to, any imaging that would have been taken of a broken bone or anything like that. So they can assess any symptoms you have and address it right away, which would mean a shorter time for analysis and assessment. And when you request your records, as many people have in the past and have had long waits to get it, it's really the click of a button that would give you that information. So it really will enhance the way we treat with patients, plus make the job of those internal stakeholders, doctors, administrators, a lot easier. So we're very proud of it. A lot now depends on the implementation, and we'll be monitoring that very carefully in the months and year. It's a 1.5-year program to come.
Right. Okay. 876-926-2178, 926-8631, 926-7615. Those are our numbers. Dr. Michael Tucker, tell me what you think you need to tell me on our fight with this whole matter of drug abuse.
Morning. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. And you?
I'm okay, thank you. Okay, so as the minister mentioned, we're looking, this prevalence survey is well needed because the last one we did was in 2016. So we realized that the information we had was a bit dated, and we always operate with the type of research that would inform the programs and initiatives we undertake from time to time to ensure that which, are a lot of concern to all of us. So this prevalence survey will look at drugs generally, but with a particular focus on alcohol. And what we're going to do too, aside from looking at what traditional drugs are, or substances are, we also will be looking at Molly, looking on the emerging situation with mushrooms.
Mushrooms? Those are a problem?
Of course they are.
Why?
Why? If you think about back in the day when we spoke about the hippie generation or whatever, LSD, I mean the mushrooms, the mushrooms, some of the mushrooms, some strains will give you the same effects as LSD. So therefore the trip, as people call it, is very intense and can be mind-blowing, literally. So we are aware that mushrooms can be used for therapy based on somebody who knows what they're doing. However, when people start to experiment and misuse it, it's very detrimental, and it can really cause significant mental health problems.
I suppose misuse of anything can be dangerous, no?
Yeah, you're perfectly correct.
Right. I think I have Dr. Uki Atkinson as well online. Dr. Atkinson?
Mrs. Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, Mrs.
Good morning.
Yes. Good to have you. Anything you want to come in with on this drug abuse matter that you are looking at?
Absolutely. Well, as we speak, we're doing the training for this next National Household Survey. And it must be said that this is the first time that this drug prevalence survey will be locally funded. Generally, countries in the Caribbean rely on external partners like the Organization of American States or the WHO PAHO to be able to fund these studies. But now, the government of Jamaica has seen it fit and important to be able to determine what is currently happening. So we are now going to be able to look at patterns among 12 to 65-year-olds across Jamaica at the parish level as well as nationally to see what are the patterns of use since 2016. What are the changes? There were things that we looked at that include things like risk perception. So how risky do you think it is if you are vaping or if you are using ganja or if you are using alcohol? At the time in 2016, when we did the survey, over 30% of the population had no idea about the risk associated with things like vaping.
Right, so just hold on for me, please. Let me take a quick break. Back in a moment.
Newport First-San Jamaica Limited, the first on the land, blenders of high-quality fertilizers. The time by Newport First-San Jamaica Limited is
10:47.
We're back with you on the Pulse with Public Health. I took away some of the minister's time. I hope Minister can give me some time, the extra time on the other side to make up for that. We're going to take your calls as well, but we're hearing from Mrs. Uki Atkinson on the focus of the National Council on Drug Abuse. So too, Dr. Michael Tucker. Yes, Mrs. Anderson.
Right. So I was saying at the time in 2016, what we were able to recognize is that the population, in terms of awareness of the risk of certain substances and using it habitually or using it even sometimes, there was low risk perception. And what the science says is that when you have a low perception of risk, when you don't think something is harmful, the likelihood that you would use it is much higher. So things like risk perception we'll be able to measure. We'll also be able to measure access and availability. In 2016, over 70% of the population reported having easy access to ganja. And 50% of those persons were underage youth. And when I say underage
over what
youth,
percent?
70% in 2016 reported having easy access to cannabis, to ganja.
That percentage is low.
Well,
I thought in Jamaica.
What we'll be able to do now is see whether that has increased or whether that is also related to changes in use and in prevalence. You know, so this is really a timely survey. It is well needed. We did a rapid situation assessment last year in May, and as Dr. Tufton outlined, there are some new things in our midst that were not typically done by Jamaicans. So we are not pill poppers. We are not injection drug users. We don't typically use prescription medication in a non-prescription way, but these are things that we'll now be able to look across the country to be able to determine what's happening currently.
All right, let's take some calls. 876-926-2178, 926-8631. I think we have Margaret online. Hi, Margaret. Welcome to the hotline. Minister is listening.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Yes.
I am calling in regards to my husband. He has glaucoma, and he talked to the minister a while now. So he was asking him about when the glaucoma medication would be available at the pharmacy in the hospital. He said that February he would get it there. So he went there, he got one of them. But he's concerned about, he has 4 more to get. So you have to buy those on the outside. Those are very expensive, and you have to buy them every month. So he wanted to find out when it would be available, because when he called at the National Health Fund, they said they have no idea when it would be available there.
Okay. So you 4 more to get. So you want the minister to provide some information as to about when those will be available,
Yes, ma'am.
All right, just hold on and give your number. Again, let's make sure the minister can know who to connect with, all right?
Okay, then.
All right, hold on for me, Margaret. Thank you so much. Barrington?
Hello?
Hi, Barrington. Welcome. Minister is listening. Dr. Tufton.
Mr. Tufton, yes, sir. I've been trying from the inception of this program in order to get you. Thank you. All right, I have a problem. For the past 3 years, I've trying to get a colonoscopy done, and I could not get through. All right. In August of last year, I was at the I got the referral to get it done up by the university hospital. When I go there, they are giving me 1 year appointment. So I should go back on the 20th and August 2023. Right? Now, what the doctor is saying to me now, this is foolishness, because if there's anything there, by the time the time comes for me to do that colonoscopy, it's so spread far gone, there's nothing can be done again.
But the funny thing, Mr. Barrington, even the private places,
No, man, if you have your money, no.
I'm telling you, even with the private places.
If you have your money up by the university hospital, you can get it done in 2 days.
2 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Minister, you know about this? Because I've tried to book colonoscopy at private places. Over 6 months was the wait at a private place.
I think it's $40,000 they charge up by university.
Right.
The caller is whether or not.
Yes, hold on, Barrington, yes. Minister?
Yes, I was saying I wanted to ask the caller, is it that a doctor recommended it, or that's him taking an interest in having it done?
From Kingston Public Hospital, and I would go through the patients appear department.
No, but did that doctor ask you to do it, or you just routinely because you're at the age that you want to do it? You decided?
A doctor said
okay, all right.
I am 70, I am over 70 years old. I have never done it before.
Yes.
And based on the symptoms...
Okay, no, I agree.
That is why the doctor sent me to do it.
Okay, well, that elevates the concern, and I agree with you that you shouldn't be waiting a year to get it done, even though I agree too with Emily that it can take a long time, even in the private space, to schedule these things. But I'm going to collect your name with the producer, and I'm going to do a follow-up to find out where the doctor asked it to be done because of symptoms. It has to get some priority, and that is way too long. So I agree with you.
Hold on, Mr. Barrington. Hold on, please. Thank you so much. John?
Good morning, Mr. Shields.
Morning, Mr. Generation of Viper.
Good morning, Dr. Tufton, my church brother.
My God. You're really going Satan in church with Dr. Tufton. I don't know how you and John end up at the same church. What's the question, John?
Dr. Tufton, the national, the government insurance scheme, health insurance, is that still on track, or have we forgotten it?
Well, in a sense, sir, and in a real sense, we do have an insurance scheme. The National Health Fund provides millions of free prescriptions each year, as well as other support. And we have a free health care that gives you access to any public health facility, which is paid for by the government. What we are doing, which I had spoken to in my sectorial, is reviewing healthcare financing, because access doesn't mean quality access. And there are too many areas where quality access is a problem. So the long waits for...
I want to wait until your sectoral debate to get the rest of that. But the next thing, the burnt unit that was started by Dr. Fenton Ferguson. How far have we reached with that?
All right, let him answer that. Thank you so much for the call, John. Listen on the radio.
There are plans now involving Petrojam University Hospital at the West Indies to create an advanced burnt unit. I mean, we treat burns in all the hospitals, but the extent of the burn is where we have the challenge. Where you have very, very high levels of burns, you don't have the kind of sophisticated equipment and so on for that. It's a highly technical area, but we're setting one up at UWI, and Petrojam is involved in the funding of that, and that is taking place, as I understand it, currently.
All right. Let's see who else we have there. 876-926-2178. Hi, Mr. Brian.
Hello.
How are you? Minister is listening.
Hi, Mr. Malay. Minister, how are you doing? Great. I have a situation which exists for a long time.
I'm fine, thank you, sir.
Good. And I'm trying to use your office to have this problem solved. I know other persons are going through it, but I'd like to have it solved. My mom is 93 years old. She works at the Victoria Jubilee Hospital for 25 years, right? And she's not receiving a whole age pension. I've made application about 11 years ago. A lady referred me to go to the Ministry of Finance, which was actually wrong. Anyway, I ended up leaving Jamaica for some time. And I started making applications early last year. Spoke with the manager for the HR department, spoke with another deputy manager, and I'm getting no way, sir. And it's 35 years worth of pension. And I have to be doing dialysis with this 93-year-old woman 2 times per week. I'm depleted. I just need some assistance to have this lady have her pension coming to her.
Right. How long ago she retired? She's 95 now, you say?
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years. She retired 80. She retired 88.
Right. So the idea of pension, of course, is a multi-agency, multi-ministry issue. So it starts with us, but it ends up via the Ministry of Labour, Ministry of Finance. Let me collect that detail, and then I will find out and follow up with you.
Yes.
And before you go, Minister, another thing I was not impressed with, about 13 years ago, about 21 years ago, when I applied for
21
NIS,
years ago.
and her NIS pension, I was to literally go in the office, search through all the blue cards, and take them to Eurocircle. There wasn't anyone to assist me. So I'm saying there's a bit of tardiness which is happening. Some delinquency is happening. No,
for 21 years, a lot has changed for 21 years. But what I'll say is that the recent issues around electronic records will benefit not just patients, but it will benefit the internal stakeholders too. So things like records around staffing will adjust. So I hope for better days, and we're putting in place the system to deal with that. But for now, let's deal with your 95-year-old.
Hold on, Mr. Bryan. Give us the details so we can pass them on to the minister's office. I think Carl is asking when was the date for the finishing up of the Buff Bay Hospital, Minister? Is Carl on or Carl, you're there? Carl,
yes, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. I've got to go in a minute. Have I put your question correctly, and is there another one you have?
I got a quick question. Just to ask Dr. Tufton. Good morning, Doctor. Just
morning.
To ask Dr. Tufton, when is the finishing date?
Okay.
Or estimated finishing date for the hospital in Buff Bay, Portland?
Thank you so much for the call.
I'll hang up and listen to your ad.
Appreciate it. We have less than a minute to go, then we'll call you back after the break, Minister.
I'm going to have to check on that, sir. I can probably get back to you when we come back after the break on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll give you back your 8 minutes. Not 8.5. 8 minutes after the break, Minister. Dr. Christoph Dunn, Health and Wellness Minister. Thank you so much, Dr. Michael Tucker. Thank you, Mrs. Uki Atkinson. We'll call you all back for the makeup right after the break. It's headlines time. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. We're rejoining Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christoph Dunn. So to Mrs. Uki Atkinson. Yes, Minister?
Yeah, quickly, Emily, thanks again. In the break, I did some work. So on the Buff Bay Hospital, it's now waiting for an approval at PPC, given the suspension or termination of the old contractor who didn't complete the job. We spent about 130 million, I'm told. We have about 40 million to spend, which is really the cleanup. The new contractor, the process has been almost complete. We expect full completion in 3 months, but it may take another month or so to complete that procurement process of the new contractor. So in all, in response to the call, I would say 3 to 4 months, I'm being told by the regional health authority.
All right. We will make that 1 year then.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Give yourself time.
You're getting too cynical.
No, man, you know how these things are.
Have a little faith in the system and the process.
Well, all right. We're going to write down the 4 months, Minister.
4 to 5.
You're getting too cynical, Minister.
Just because you're challenging me.
All right.
For this 70-year-old gentleman, I made a call, and UHWI is prepared to do the colonoscopy. I've asked them to facilitate it.
Brilliant.
70 years with a doctor recommendation is a priority, and no one should wait that long. So he will get it done within the next week, and I'll give I'll connect him with the management of UHWI after the program. Okay?
You're up to the time, Minister Barrington.
Well, you gave me the time, so I made the calls. And, I don't like when people suffer, Emily.
No.
We don't cherish that. We appreciate these concerns, and that's why this program is important.
Brilliant. Thank you. So we do have Dr. Michael Tucker back as well. Welcome back, Dr. Tucker. And let's go to our next caller online. Sir P. Hi, Sir P. Welcome to the hotline.
Yes, Buster, but I didn't remember my radio name to your program.
Yes, Buster.
That
yes.
When the MRI and the CT scan, is there the one in operation in Spanish Town Hospital and KPH?
It should be, but if it is not, remember we have the outsourcing arrangement, so the doctor would send you to the private place.
Doc, I must commend you and the team for the vector control in Spanish Town. I don't know if this gentleman is the head of man named Philip, right? But you see, the breeding side, they're afraid that set up a vector control people.
Right. They're afraid of them, you say?
I don't know. I think it's three of them. Philip, right?
I'll bear the name in mind, and I'll make a personal call to commend him. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. We like to be encouraged.
Have a great weekend, Buster. Elaine, hi, Miss Elaine.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Emily. Good morning, Christopher Tufton.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I'm fine. The visual field machine at the eye clinic at the KPH has been down since 2019. It has been reported more than twice on this program, and up till now, there is no fixes gone to it, and people are waiting to use the machine.
Okay.
Very important.
I'll make a note of that. I'll ask the team to find out why that is so. Normally, when these things happen, it's because of a part, but I can't imagine a part that takes so long for a repair. So
right.
Let me find out why that is so. But thanks for the call and the concern.
Yes.
I'll follow.
Yes, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Have a good weekend, Miss
You
Elaine.
too, Emily. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. JC, hi. JC, morning. JC, are you there? Morning.
Yes, morning. I want to speak to Mr. Tufton, but I don't want to do it on air. If I could leave my number.
Just hold on for me. When you come with that, you just tell the producer so we don't put you over to hear your lovely voice. You hear? Hold on. Let's see if we have another caller or two before we wrap. We're giving back Dr. Tufton his time that I stole away. Hi, morning. Hi. Who is this?
It is P.
Welcome, Miss P. Yes, Minister Tufton listening.
Right. Quite sure that Minister Tufton is aware that there's only one doctor operating at the Noel Home Hospital per shift on the entire compound.
That would be rather unusual, very unusual, because first of all, one doctor can run a 24-hour shift and there's always someone on call. I know it's a small hospital, but you have a senior medical officer who I know personally, and there are others. Normally you would have a number of doctors at one time, but I'll check on it, but that would be most unusual.
Minister, don't check on it. I already experienced it on 3 different occasions.
When is it you had that last experience, Miss B?
Over 3 weeks ago. And it reoccurred eventually because the patient keep going back. Dr. Tufton, you are being told that, the doctor is around by maternity because there is an emergency. There's only one doctor. Sir, I'm not lying. It is
No, I'm not saying you're lying. I wouldn't say that.
Verify.
I just want to check, but I'm saying it would be...
Nothing is going on at Noel's home, sir. I'm telling you,
ma'am. No, ma'am. He appreciates what you've said. It will cause him to do an investigation, which is quite right, because we cannot accept the views of anybody just by a call like that. Something else has to follow.
Okay, then, sir.
Let him do that. Thank you for the call.
Okay. Thank you, though. Thank you for the call.
Have a great weekend. I have who is this now? Willat Mila? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, who am I speaking with?
Wilhelmina from St. Thomas.
Yes, Wilhelmina. Welcome. Minister is listening.
I'm a first-time caller, but a long-time listener.
It's good to have you. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I have a teeth problem. And what I want the minister to know, I'm in St. Thomas to be exact, and I attended the health clinic at the R&B. From 2018, I have a tooth problem, and the dentist told me that they wouldn't recommend extracting it. They would recommend filling, but their suction machine is down. And I've been going from then, and now I've been getting the machine is still down. So I would like this to come to the minister's attention to find out what is really going on, because my last visit there was last month, and I was still told that the suction machine is down. And
this is from when you said?
From 2018, I've been having this teeth problem. It has a little hole in it, and they don't.
Yes, I understand. I'm just trying to find out from when they said the machine is the suction machine not working.
I've been going because I've been there every month. I have to go there because I'm on the pressure clinic. I do my pickups on a monthly basis because I attend a fourth clinic on a 4th month. And each time when I check, the machine is still down.
Yes.
And I have to use it like warm water to brush the teeth because I can't use cold water in it, and they don't want to extract it.
I got you. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Minister?
So it's a dental, she says it's a suction aspect of the machine.
Yes.
So that's what she says is done. And which center is that? Because they have several in the parish. Just tell me so I can check.
Which health center you said, Ms. Wilhelmina? Oh, we lost her?
We lost her. Oh, well, I can check with the parish health people, but I mean they have a number of oral health clinics in the parish. But I'll check.
Yes. All right. Last call. No, I think we're out of time. That's your 8 minutes plus one. Minister.
You're very precise. But
no,
thanks
plus
a lot.
One. I'm gonna give you 8 months for both the hospital.
Just want to close to say that I certainly appreciate all the calls. This is why we have this program. We know we'll get more complaints than commendations. People tend to, and that's fine, because what we do when we get them is to follow up, and hopefully where we think the problems persist for too long, we try to adjust in terms of just putting in place new systems. So thanks again, and thanks to the listeners and the callers.
Yes, have a great weekend. Thank you, Dr. Christopherton, Minister of Health and Wellness. Thank you so much, Mrs. Uki Atkinson and Dr. Michael Tucker from the National Council on Drug Abuse. That's On the Pulse with Public Health. When we come back, Burrell Scarlett of Evergrow Garden Center, he will come back for growing tips. Welcome back to the hotline, listeners. Thank you for joining. Thank you for rejoining. Let me come to one of your calls. 926-8631. I'll come to that before we go to X and Y. I'll take toll free. Hello, toll free. Walking shop. Why? Me there I try find out what am I do with the weed.
You know that me I say we produce the best high grade, and we are going to send high grade come here.
Oh, you know, so we produce the best high grade. That they top long time, you know.
No go so man. Me tell you which it is ganja, man.
You ever tried the one from California?
No, me no get another one. But
you ever tried the one from Canada?
No.
No. You ever tried the one from Amsterdam?
No.
Oh, you are the wicked.
Wicked is high grade. Me sell the wicked is high grade.
You are the wickedest one, and you never tried no other one.
Then I say if you not try me shield, me no know him.
That is the point. You cannot say you have the best woman if it's the only woman you know.
Yes.
You can't say so.
But how me that get them the one?
No, ask me. Let me give you a herb shop in Amsterdam. You want me to give you the number for a herb shop in Amsterdam?
No, man, don't give me yet. But you know, I now woodland me them, you know, no pen and paper to take no number. I mean, can't keep number enough for me hit.
You know, can't type it on your phone?
No, man.
You know how what soap? You know how what soap on it? What soap?
With what soap? One of me sweetheart when me did have the here, man. That one hype phone come give me. I bang me a call upon now, man it was. When me dial the number, then them a run for a year like a when bolt a run down a place this up.
So you dash for the hype phone and gone back to Banga?
me have it still, but me a bang and me a call upon you now. Me when me a dial the number, it a run fast and bolt.
Yo,
me no
that's fine.
Job back to me banger.
You're bound for syrup. You're not bound for champagne.
Yes. Good cigar bun white ashes.
Eh?
Good cigar bun white ashes.
Good cigar bun white ashes. Me no know.
Yeah,
me no smoke. Me no encourage nobody to smoke.
Well, me been used to smoke, but me top over 40 years now.
Then the high grade where you talk about is 40 years ago you're talking about it? That's the experience?
No, man.
Oh.
Right you know me. You see me brushing there when me and him been for early time there. He sell the wickedest high grade.
Remember saying that is the unregulated industry. Because the one that we're talking about is for medicinal purposes. Yeah, you are talking about the unregulated industry.
So no, we not should have produced if that we could have been sending government so we go make some money. We take you out of them a judgment arena. Huh?
You come back for me like Lazarus.
Then I told.
That about judgment.
No more. Then you know that pay off with them and with that ease up also my burden all off of my shoulder.
Yeah. All I know is there are several areas of the world that they have perfected the production of cannabis. Perfected it. So every bud come out just as nice as the bud before.
Yes.
And if we don't do that, I'm sorry for you. What? Up here breezing your phone, you know?
Yes, you call me, not tell me I Woodland me them.
Kuya, me call. Hold on a second, let me take a quick time break. I have to go to X and Y, but hold on.
You're listening to Radio Jamaica 94 FM. Shop HyproAce.com and receive free 7-day delivery island-wide. Hypro Ace Super Center, it's all here. The time by Hypro Ace Super Center is now 12:30.
Yes, sir.
Hey, me tell us how far the call, so me tell us how Woodland me there, you know?
Yes, you tell me say Woodland, me never know say Breezy Castle.
Hey, then I Woodland me there, out. Then we come put up some of them windmill, they blow and take off some pressure off electricity and everything. Breeze not a blood at the place there. Harry Hall me there, you know?
Oh, you gone back at Harry Hall?
Hey, me come back up, they gone do all the commission, but anytime the rain fall, me now let Harry Hall, so if you don't hear me, the radio, the hotline now come off.
And phone can't work down there when rain fall?
No, I know that. Me have to go by one floor.
Oh.
A digital me have, so me have to go by one floor for the digital. And we up, let me tell you, say I Woodland me, we up now all the preventer team, sit down, you know.
Oh.
Forget you.
And digital can't work in there? A Harry Hall?
No, yes, man, you work, but me I tell you, say, if me did it lower down,
me
couldn't get you, so me go up on the hill and sit down now and short fermenter tree.
Oh.
And that me I tell you.
So you did there sing now, we all want to go higher.
Yeah, man.
But that is BPM Financial.
Yes, so you put on wing now like a Red Bull and fly off now and say if you know and say if you go fly. I saw the stop right at the drop and I saw the stop me pray that.
The sudden stop?
Yes, he saw the stop.
Well,
so me glad to hear your voice.
Me glad to hear it too. All the best to the people in Harry Hall.
Yes, man, I'm blessed up these in a studio to me and all of me hotline listen to them. What's my lady over there, son, you again we talked to you yesterday? Is Linton come from?
Mr. Molly.
Yes. Bless him up there for me, man. I'm a good friend, you know.
Okay, I know her.
Yeah, man. Me don't know her, man. Me don't know her. I really don't know.
Oh, radio friend.
Yes, man, yes.
All right, your pen pal.
All right.
Take care.
Bless up.
Bye-bye. Time now for X and Y. Come in, Y. Rescue me.
Let me ask you.
Oh, dear.
When you go to the supermarket, do you put your merchandise on the conveyor belt beside the others?
Beside it?
Like somebody's ahead of you. Somebody's ahead of you. And do you put your purchase, whatever you're buying, your grocery, whatever.
Behind them,
You put it behind them, close to theirs?
Line off the space. Sometimes you have the dividers.
So you put it right up on the divider? And what if, say for instance, a man is ahead of you, he's a Rasta man. And
that Lazarus?
Like Lazarus, Mango Africa. And he's not into pork. And him no want to call it that. And you have pork in your grocery and you put it close up to his.
No man, him have to go get for him own thing there.
Conveyor?
Yes. The Rasta man who will come to supermarket who no want film thing mixed up. Him fi carry own conveyor belt.
Why couldn't conveyor belt?
Yeah. What you say? So you never see Rasta man walk past the meat section?
Many times.
And where you hear them say when they walk past the meat section?
That's what I tell you. That's what I tell you.
So you want me to answer the question?
But no, let me tell you the story. Where's Anaki? Okay, so here's the story. Where there was this Rasta man who was cashing at the supermarket, and lo and behold, a man came up with him pork and put it close to the Rasta man grocery. The Rasta man start burning him out. More fire.
Fire come look here.
So the man look at him and say, if I have to burn you, I can't eat it raw.
Fire from June right down to November.
More fire.
Fire come look here. More fire. Keep it that. Fire level.
And a Rasta
Azzy from up the hill.
Oh, no, take Rasta for eat that,
decide to check.
No, I look so.
And when him add up the things him need, the tune done when him save fi buy little weed. Him hand pan him jaw, Lord. Read him eye and just meditate. The time is so hard, Lord. I man nothing but immigrate. I make up my mind, Lord. I might as well go against Simon Fate. So I forward the market. I sight the butcher boy by the gate.
You want what?
No, I might a kill like queen.
Try beef now.
I no check to no grass where green.
What about fowl?
What you know is time for a change.
Me and fish.
Children out of that range.
Oh, what is steak?
What you know, you know, sight the rate.
Try the tribe now.
Burn me belly when I pull me pipe.
Alright, hold the pork.
Hush your mouth, by me brethren here. Sell I a pound of that thing there.
That in him.
That thing.
But tell me about no pork. That thing.
Me get the thing there.
Oh, yeah?
I look good.
I don't want them.
I don't
want them. Anyway, yesterday morning I heard Derek and Paula now talking about coffee and what they would enjoy coffee with, you know, and people were actually texting and were talking about the things that they would put in the coffee. And then right away I remember how my grandmother used to enjoy her coffee. Every morning, she would get up and she'd get this coffee that she would use. Well, she would use a coffee bag, and she put that in the coffee bag, and then there was this little pot now. She called it a coffee pot. And she put she put the coffee in the coffee pot, and then she had a bag, and she threw that brew in the bag, and the bag would act as a strainer. But here, how she produced her coffee, she planted coffee, so she would pick the coffee, and she had a mortar. You know mortar?
Then we have to take my chocolate.
Okay. I want to talk about. You remember how they make? You remember how it was made?
What, the chocolate?
No, man, the mortar. And the cement we are mixing up.
No, it's a tree trunk.
All right. We're going to talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she would get that coffee bag and that strain the coffee. But when she finished, she hung up the bag. And she used back the same coffee. Next morning, sometimes all 3-4 mornings. Let me say about all that.
That is Trang back coffee.
A Trang coffee.
Wow.
Right.
So she used it back 3-4 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I suppose.
And sometimes now she'll complain, say her coffee not strong enough.
Yeah, but I don't know if she didn't, like the first morning, if she doesn't let it draw to full strength.
Possibly that's what she did.
Yes.
But she used to use coconut milk.
Yes.
That's what she used in her coffee. So when you hear she said, boy, I may have a heart, me never get the coffee strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
Not realizing that if she keep using the same coffee.
Why do you think she never realized?
But why would she be using it 2-3 times?
But look here. You see all me? You see my lotion buckle them?
Mm-hmm. You ring it out?
The lotion have it done before it in there. And it's not because me don't have a new one put on there.
Well, you know, waste anything.
Now waste it. It have to turn upside down. And bring out. So don't ask me why you don't throw it away. And in fact, if anybody throws away my lotion bottle before I'm done, I'm livid.
You throw the water in there?
No, me not throw what, no. Me not do that.
No, water, no.
Me not do that. Better throw little oil. Little coconut oil. Or extra virgin olive oil. That nice.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, you didn't put some oil on your head before you come here this morning.
Of course. So chicken back oil.
My grandfather, you know, when he ate fried fish, he would wipe his hand in his head. Whatever little hair was on it, he would just wipe it in his head.
Oh. Well, you heard about the rubbing of the oil on your foot when you get food.
Can never miss the pot.
No, miss the pot. So somebody give some food and polish up your foot with the oil.
We had a man back in the country, Masty. Masty never missed dinner. Never. Every single time the pot is about to come off the fire, Masty would be coming round the corner with him neck lean like a whatever. And anybody who is at the house, you get served.
Masty rubbing foot with the pot.
Masty rubbing foot with the aisle. So him always catch the pot. Anyway, we have to tell me about the matter.
How they made it. Nowadays you have fancy matter, ceramic and all them kind of things.
Yeah.
But you're right. In the earlier days, it was the trunk of the tree and some tough wood to like maho.
It has to be. Yeah, cut it out and make a nice hole in it.
But what I used to see them do is light a fire. So that piece of trunk...
Are we going back to the Rasta man?
More fire. would be placed vertically, standing up, and then they light a little fire in the middle.
Is it?
Yes, because the wood would be so tough, and they burn out a little of that, and some kind of chisel they use, and just dig in. And as soon as, they dig out a little portion, they light back the fire and burn it down to a point where...
I didn't know that.
Yes.
But that's quite beautiful, though. It's a good technique.
It wasn't a good technique because when you think of it, it was dried wood, and to light fire on dry wood and then get it to in such a controlled way to get that
that sort of
vacuum
conical shape. So they have to stay around to make sure it not burn out to the end.
Right, and as it burn, them just dig.
I enjoy the process of making chocolate. Back in the day, you used to suck off the cocoa seed.
That's all we do. We never business with anything else.
No, we had to put it in the sun on the zinc.
No,
to make it dry.
No, well, those who were doing chocolate would put it on the zinc or on the barbecue. But as children, we just could get cocoa and break it.
Yeah, but we couldn't throw away the seeds anyway. We had to make sure it was put wherever to dry, and then when it dry, just like how we roast cashew.
So how much cocoa, sir?
Any amount of cocoa you eat, all of the cocoa seed that go one place, go sit down and dry until them ready. Didn't we parch it?
Well, they did that as well.
Yeah. Then you parch and then you beat.
I beat it in the mortar.
Did you sing? You say, "Come cocoa fat, Come cocoa vat.
No, you tell me now.
It was a thing.
Because we never had so much. We just maybe pick 1 and 2 off of the tree.
Did you have a cocoa walk?
No, we had maybe there was perhaps 1 and 2.
No.
But if you had a cocoa walk, then could have been involved in cocoa production, man.
Yeah. And perhaps but it didn't sell for much. Just like turmeric, we used to call tambric.
No, them still call it tambric,
But it's a cheap, distant cousin of ginger. You could have put out 200 pounds of tambric, you now get more than $50.
But that wasn't sold. When you make tamarind ball, no, you sell it?
No, not tamarind, turmeric.
Oh, turmeric.
Yeah.
Oh, tambric.
Tambric, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was as cheap as ever. So the cocoa back in the days was also pretty cheap. So I suppose we just make chocolate tea.
We never sell tambric.
No?
Mm-mm.
And that tambric, they could have spread like a love weed,
Color your food.
Yeah. You remember love weed?
Mm-hmm.
Love bush.
That yellow-looking parasite.
What you used to do with it?
I would just throw it on the fence.
But didn't you say anything?
No, sir.
What? It's love bush. So we used...
Anyway, you sweat it would grow, but people
How did I know that? I didn't know that. So if you had a little boy that you fancied back in the day, we would pick the love bush and you would spit on it.
Oh, really?
Yes, one little spit, and you would say, if you love DT, grow. Whoever it is that you think you love, you say, if you love so-and-so, grow.
And it really would grow.
Every day we are going to go look if love bush grow. And if love bush not grow, your little heart is so broken.
Heart.
Only in our heart.
Heart not grow.
Only to find out when I got older that this thing was a parasite.
And it grow wherever you put it.
Can you believe that?
Yes.
Anyway, the things we learn. Bye-bye, we always see they say. That's X and Y.
More fire.
More fire. Hi, everybody.
You're now listening to Emily Shields Talk with Substance on Hotline. Radio Jamaica, active for the good of our nation.
Thank you, listeners. We're back with you. 876-926-2178. Erica, the cocoa walk you come from? Pure cocoa used to grow there thousands of acres. Hi, everybody. Come to 2178. Hello.
Good afternoon, Michelle.
How are you?
I'm good.
Very good. Good to have you.
Yes, I'm good to be here also. Well, two things. I'm calling to find out if you did some investigation for me about the 90, I believe, 94, 95, going into 95-year-old lady. I tell you about was on part, and because of her birth paper, she can't get the part anymore. Them take her off of it and say she have to go get birth paper for go join open my account at bank.
All right, because we said we would check
yes.
We would check RGD for that, right?
Yes.
I've not spoken with RGD yet. Just hold on, you hear? Hold on, let's just make sure that we have the details. I'm sure I do, but just quite a lot of things were happening. But just give it to my producer. What's your name again? Your name? Yeah.
My name is Sonia.
Sonia, yes. Hold on, Miss Sonia. Yeah, and come back to us next week on it. We'll jump on it with RGD now because I really hadn't, and I know my producer didn't get a chance to. How is the lady, by the way? How is the lady?
She's going on same way, but I'm tenant them in the yard try to assist her the best way them can.
Yes, I remember that you told me that. I'm so sorry about the delay.
The councillor caretaker.
Yes.
To do what she can
you
do.
You did say that. You did,
to do what she can do.
Yes.
For her.
Yeah.
And the next is still short. The census.
The what?
Census taking.
Yes.
Yeah, the census. I heard the finance minister said them raised the census to 100%. So them not supposed to have fine. They're supposed to have workers now. But the tax, so them are going to lick you back again with. That is the main thing why the people them not really no want to do the census, the young people them.
Yeah, but you know what is the purpose of taxes, Miss Sonia? Why you pay tax?
Finance. Something.
What?
To run the country.
To run the country. Like what? What kind of something it help to run the country with? Talk up to me.
No, but...
No. Talk to me. What you understand the tax is used for?
I understand the tax to help run the country. Finance, like the
Tell me what you think. Nobody overthink it. Tell me what come in your mind.
What come in my mind, like the healthcare.
Yes.
The water.
Yes.
And all of those things. Roads and so forth.
Road. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and so forth.
Everything like that. And even now, police, salary for public sector workers, all of those things.
Yes.
So it is amazing that people want all these services done in the country, but people don't want to pay taxes.
No, it's not for them don't want to pay taxes.
What they don't want to pay? They don't want to pay that percentage?
But to all this, them the understanding what they have about paying tax.
Yes.
That is their problem.
Yes, and that's why I'm going through it with you. We have to understand. Just like some people who aren't got heaven.
I understand it either.
But you did.
Honestly, because when I was in a full-time job, I understand it. But like the census taking, it's not a full-time job.
No, it's not a full-time job. But if you are, how the taxes come in, them have a thing that them call the tax threshold. So if you earn a certain amount, if you earn below a certain amount, you don't pay income tax.
That's the part. No, the certain amount below is how many?
Is how much? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the part was causing the problem with
yes.
the
Okay.
census.
Okay. So maybe I need to get somebody to tell us what that level is.
You do a training and you get 20,000. And then draw 8,000 for tax.
No, but the thing is, if you are earning if you are full-time, if you have another job somewhere else.
Most of the people in the census are part-time.
And that's the only thing they do.
Who are not working, majority.
I get what you're saying now, Sonia.
Yeah. So that is the problem.
Okay.
That
I get what you're saying. So you would
and the tax leak big.
Mm-hmm.
The tax leak big.
So you would
problem with them having paying tax.
Yes.
Problem they must drive the education tax, the housing trust, and the NIS. But when the income tax now you draw a 5,000 and you're not working certain amount of money and it's not a permanent. That is what causing the young people them don't really understand, because I used to work before, so I know about the income tax drawing and so forth.
No, but we have to find out more about it, because if you're saying that's all they do, then so much tax, I don't think so much supposed to come out of the money.
Out of training, a 8-day training, and then take out 8,000. 7,800.
So you get how much at the end?
I get 13,000.
And you have to pay. You have to
out of 8-day training.
You have to pay bus fare or taxi fare.
Yes.
And buy lunch. Mm-hmm.
So it's so. When I get paid yet to the work when they do. But people will get paid why them listening bad.
Yes. All right. Your line dropping, your line going low. Okay, I got you.
See? So
I
it
got
makes
you.
no sense to out $50,000 and then draw out $15,000 plus $18,000 for tax. It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
And it's not a permanent work.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have it after census finish. And census supposed to be done from December.
Mm-hmm.
So, me not know.
I got you. I enjoyed talking to you.
Yes, darling.
Yeah, hold
and
on.
Please, the elderly lady.
Yes, hold on now. We're going to retake your digits. All right. Yes, Anna Kay, let's make a note of that and let's follow up and see the taxes for the census takers and why so much. Get back the details for me. Let's get in touch with RGD. Come ready now, call today. 5 to 1.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mrs. Shields.
Mr. Frank.
Frank.
From Virginia.
That's right.
How are you?
People, okay, you people have a way of forcing me to call.
Kira.
Yes.
What way be a whole M16 in your head?
Well, I tell you.
What nerve X and Y touch for you now?
Talking about Martha and milk chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a Martha. When I do trunk one.
The trunk one?
Yes, the one that made from trunk, as you said, the whole time one.
Oh.
Is one thing. It wasn't cut up by. It was cut up by these machines. You know, these like what the woodwork people use. Yeah, man, have it.
So where is it?
Hmm?
You have it at Virginia with you?
Yeah, I get it to buy here.
Oh, so do you use it?
Yeah. Oh, I mean.
What you use it for?
A chocolate. Me give a Christmas gift last December, you know.
Oh, you make your own chocolate?
Make chocolate what me make, yeah.
Not chocolate for chocolate tea. Real chocolate?
Real chocolate.
Like Ferrero Rocher?
Like Radcott chocolate.
Like Cadbury?
No, man. That are the end product. Me talk about the chocolate where you get from the tree. In fact,
oh, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, the one you use to make tea.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, I should say cocoa.
No. Chocolate is fine, but that one we call chocolate.
No. Yeah, man. Use.
Okay.
So me make my chocolate, man, and up to last week, you know, one of the ladies when I get half a dozen. Because and tell me so that she still have some because she don't want it done. She don't want miss having it. She rather look forward to it.
So let me ask you then, where you get the cocoa?
Right here in Virginia.
Where they get it in? Where they get it from? Which country? Do you know?
I think it come from Mexico.
Everything that they're from Mexico, you know.
Yeah, all the pad, you know, the one in a pad, you know, make I send it.
What you said to me?
The day when I see it into the supermarket, I had to take a picture of it.
So you
in the store.
You break it and suck it same time?
No. Well, whenever I used to do the sucking of it, maybe a couple of times. But me dry it and me make my chocolate, you know, like my mother make it away, you see. She make it. This lady said that I nicest chocolate she ever drink, you know, me get the other day. So me tell her make it now. Me beat it, right? Me beat it with me cinnamon leaf, right?
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, you have to parch it first, and I get out that skin. You have to parch it.
You have to parch it. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then you shell it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I beat it with my cinnamon. And then me ball it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then now it's in the rough stage that time. Then me go over it and me grate it.
Mm-hmm.
And refine it, you know, and then me put him in nutmeg.
Beautiful.
And beat it again. But the second beating take longer, you know.
Eh?
Yeah, it take longer than the first because not, you know. The first one, you know. It just come out of the whatever you part it in.
Yes.
So you can have that warmth in it, you know.
Yes.
So it
soften up easily.
So it turn oil more easily. But when you grate it, then I powder that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to spend more time.
I love it. So do you have any milk cup?
No, my daughter have. She just pick up one because she said, like auntie, but me not have any.
You can drink it in a cup and in a milk. But Frank, it's so good to hear from you. Thank you about reminiscing. Thank you.
Yes,
have a great weekend. Jamaica Day. Thank you, Frank. Take care. Hear me on Lion. Thank you to Anna K. Levy. Thank you to the Y in my X and Y. Thank you, my beautiful people. Thank you for being such great audience. We look forward to having your company again next week. Have yourselves a great weekend. Happy Jamaica Day. Take care. I'm Emily Shields.